I got both you and
Holy shit, that's what meeting.
yeah. So let's not dumb around because we got a new clock and it says it's time to go.
Oh my God. Thanks for that. How much was that?
That was a gift from a concerned citizen or a disgruntled voter.
Concerned with how long.
Concerned with how long the meetings were going. I think the answer was too long. I can fix that. Are we ready? Okay, so we're broadcasting this kindness of Michael Gordon with an assist from the younger McGuire brother for the amusement of people who don't have enough to do, I think. But I have read the minutes. Has anyone else read them?
Nope, that's not it.
Please take your time. Please. You guys did not print copies of these for the other two.
Which one?
That's all right.
I can go do it.
These four. 2, 3, 4. I suspect they don't need a full copy of that.
You don't care if it doesn't come out in red, do you? Can't do anything about it.
Two each. And
Two each. So I'm going to do 3,
one for you.
right? And one for us.
Good idea.
We don't need more than
How do
one.
minutes look? Is it all right to you guys? Anything from the public on the minutes? Anything we left out? There's a fairly succinct description of the police department plan B in there. Nicely done, nicely written. This is not particularly controversial. The cell phone advice we got from Juliana Stevens, who worked for U.S. Cellular for 100 years, came in the form of a piece of paper that's being duplicated for my brother selectman at the moment. It makes 3 recommendations, which essentially say, ditch these 2 phones and move this 1 phone over here and change that number to this one. And if that's all true, and if what Juliana says is true, we have no reason to doubt her, we'll save $840 a month, and nobody that has a phone now will be without one. All those in favor?
Aye.
That was easy.
Did you ever find the other phone?
I did. It wasn't that hard to find.
You threw it in a drawer?
It was up to the car where it should have been. And it took 90 seconds to find it.
What's the carrier going to do?
It's still going to be U.S. Cellular, I'm sorry to say. But that's a personal prejudice, not one based in broad research. And they are a New Hampshire company and blah, blah, blah. So, and they do pay taxes in this town. So there's that. Thank you. You got that, Kelly? So I have done some mind-numbing calculations about health insurance, which I think for the purposes of this meeting, I'll just distribute it to my brother selectmen for review. And if there's any questions that come up, we do need to make a decision on this ASAP, but we don't want to make a decision on this proposal without you guys having a chance to study it and ask questions. Right?
Agreed.
Essentially, we're moving the entire operation over to HSA structure. Health savings account structure. And the details, of course, the devil's in the details. The health savings amounts can be pre-tax, and if they accrue over time and an employee leaves us for any reason, that money goes with them, which is very different than the current status. There's enough, according to my analysis, there's enough wiggle room in the premium differential to make it possible for the town to contribute to some of the HSA expense and still have everyone come ahead, and that is the employees went wind up paying less of their share, and the town winds up paying less of their share. So let these guys do the analysis, and we'll bump this over to either an email decision if it's uncontroversial, or a discussion next week.
So what would the net increase be, assuming everything is?
It's the net decrease if I did my math right. Net decrease, not increase.
Well, so as compared to what we were paying this last year.
Correct. Now, just like the tax bills, it's not the same for every employee. But in aggregate, if I did the math right and the numbers we received from the vendor are accurate, then we're looking at an opportunity to save some significant money. I'm not going to say a number out loud because these guys haven't had a chance to review it. But it's real, and it will be welcome.
Sure.
And I thank the staff for helping me with the research. And we had two and a half meetings with the staff of Health Trust, who were really quite professional and pretty smart. So there's that. The patrol person job description, we need to approve that if we can this evening, Jen, so we can post it tomorrow. Essentially what I did with that was I squeezed it out of Marcello, reviewed it, made tiny edits to it, which I will detail if anybody's interested. Essentially, there was a long paragraph describing work conditions, which I condensed into a single sentence that said that the work conditions would be what a reasonable person would expect a police patrolman to encounter day to day, rather than all the wind and rain and lifting and I don't know where that came from. But, so I made that change and I ran it by the chair of the EMSG. All right, it wasn't a post office position, it was a police position. I ran it by the chief and the chair of the EMSG group and got no objections whatsoever. The other thing I changed was the part where it said licensure, and this is key to our success. The original document said that the successful applicant would be or would become New Hampshire certified, and I changed that to will be New Hampshire certified as a condition of employment. That's all I did. Everything else, all the other 6 pages were untouched. So if you guys are satisfied with my summary of those edits, can we adopt this tonight?
Adopt it.
Yep. Second. And in favor, we're all 3. And we are equally in favor of posting it tomorrow on the LGC website. And one of us will figure out a way to post it on the town website. Last week I asked the staff to post the RFPs for roadside mowing and such on the LGC website, and I've already got some callbacks. Good. So I'm pleased with that. Mostly requests for more information, which is very, very grown up, because this was single sentence. We're looking for proposals about roadside mowing.
And other things.
And other stuff.
Because I had, well, never mind.
Right, never mind. So that's where we are with that. We may, depending on what my brother selectmen want to do here, I have completed my analysis on wage adjustments. Came in under the $12,000 threshold by only a couple of $100, but essentially took all the data generated by the HR and used it to normalize the wage rates that we are paying today, plus for every employee for whom I made a change in my calculation, that calculation included a retroactive to April 1st one-time payment, as if we had changed the wages at that date, which was our intention all along.
That would put everybody on an equal footing compared to what was done last year. Is that the rationale?
Correct, and compared to the data that your group generated as an aggregate of the 5 towns or the 7 towns.
Have you come up with, or are you even thinking about making salary scales?
I don't even know what that means.
I certainly am.
Well,
I'll turn it over to you.
No, one thing I've been complaining about, we don't have them.
it's tough with so few jobs, but
Yeah.
you can get a modicum, and I'll be happy to work with whomever.
And we would be happy to accept your help.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm not sure what the time frame will be on that, but
No, I
going into
understand.
next year, I'm confident that we can put together.
You should, assuming what you just said, Joe, is you could use that as the midpoint of the range. Okay, because that was sort of a composite of 16, 14, 16 other towns, and use that as a midpoint of the range, and you go plus or minus X%, and break it into quartiles.
Yep. I haven't heard that in so long, since last time I had to deal with wage bands.
Yeah.
That's the only time you ever hear that.
I'm glad there's two people in the room that know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
It's not difficult to do, but what it does give you, Joel, what it does give you is an idea of what someone over a period of years could expect to receive in that job. Say 3 to 5 years would be the midpoint of the range. They would start at a lower end and over 3 to 5 years work towards the midpoint. But then there's folks that are in jobs 20 years. If the range never changes, that's a problem. But if the range would change at some period of time, they would work into above the midpoint. Okay, and maybe I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail, but maybe one might be a reduced raise, so they cap out at some point in time, and then that's what the job is worth, maximum period. You'd never pay over that. But that gets into an exercise.
Sure.
So.
And it can also give you a band of, if you have a job that is, highway worker, and there may be a low end to that and a higher end of that, and it may be like this, depending on, that allows you to sort of.
But the key to it is that your midpoint should be very consistent with what the world is paying for that job. So in 2 years or 3 years, you might do another survey just to see where you are in relation to that.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this select board is committed to paying what the competition pays.
Right.
And perhaps even more importantly, participating in the LGC wage and benefits survey next cycle.
And that'll make it a lot easier
Because
to get the data.
that'll make everything better for everyone. Because then we can use a larger sample, have a band that's more regionally accurate, if I understand that. So.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Thank you.
So do you want to defer a decision on this? We can't go any further than the next pay period. And I realize you guys haven't had much time to review my work, so we can do that by email.
Were you pointing, which one were you pointing?
The Article 2 wage adjustment spreadsheet in your folder.
I'd like to actually review it a little.
I think that's the correct answer.
Yeah, and Glenn, nobody, AABC hasn't taken a look at, hasn't had those proposed numbers to plug them into next year to see what that does too. Because
nothing, because that was my 2 points I was going to bring up, was that number one, the health insurance, we need to plug those numbers in to see what that's going to do, and also any raises, what that's going to do.
Of course, you should be asking your staff to do that, because that's what we've always done.
Yeah.
there you go. I was
Well, that's probably save you time.
I was just asking how long you had. Okay, then I will turn this way. Do you understand what we just talked about? How about I look at it? That works for me.
But if you're gonna, he's saying you gotta decide.
I think unless either of those two proposals, if they don't prove controversial to you two guys, I believe we're allowed to adopt them for budgeting purposes by email.
For budget purposes.
And then next week we can just vote in public that we like this direction and with this small changes is what we're going to do. Does that make sense?
Works for me. Yep.
I don't want to slow down the staff any more than I already have with all of this research. And plus they broke the internet today. Did they tell you that?
Must be the day for it. And you guys aren't on Fairpoint here.
But they might have been able to break Fairpoint too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, we're good.